Welcome back to another episode of the Humor Hustle. Today we are joined by a special guest, former NFL MVP. No, I'm just kidding. Former NFL player, could have been MVP, Neil Pau'u. Played here locally here in Provo, Utah for the Cougs back, was it 2014?
No, last year was 2021.
Oh, 2021.
Yeah.
See, that shows you my knowledge.
You were way off.
Yeah.
That'd make him like 35.
Hey, man, the beer threw me off, so. But Neil, tell us a little bit about you, kind of your journey and the career that, you started back with the Cougs when you played, so.
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in California, right there in Orange County, California. Wasn't a big Disneyland person, if anybody that's curious for that. But pretty much played sports my whole life. Sports would kind of ran the household, and football kind of took over kind of my junior year. But my path to BYU is a little interesting. So it starts off with getting an offer my sophomore year from BYU. Me and my brother was committed there and was already there, I believe, at this time. Or I think he was just committed. So going to my sophomore year, committed. Going to my junior year, we go to some like junior day that's a universal thing for all schools and stuff, and go there and perform badly actually.
Oh, no way.
So go there. My scholarship gets pulled actually that day, the junior day that I go to.
From BYU?
From BYU.
Damn.
Yeah. So then I end up going through my junior and senior year. I played quarterback up until my junior year. Halfway through my junior year, they ended up putting someone else, so that's where the receiver part came in. So I played the end of my junior year and a little bit my senior year, kind of halfway through my senior year as well at receiver. So really didn't have any offers coming out of high school. So BYU was kind of the main school because me and my brother had just talked about, we played 1 year in high school. We wanted to play in college as well. It was easier for my parents to come to one game, that type of deal. So I ended up just going on the LDS mission. LDS mission turned into a new head coach coming in, Coach Kalani Sataki, and my parents knowing him and my brother being able to talk. He offered me a walk-on spot, and then from that semester of 2017 when I got back, walking on that first semester, was put on scholarship, and then had its ups and downs from there. But that's how I pretty much started. From where I was up until getting to BYU.
Damn, so were you in that transition between Mendenhall and Sataki then? Is that kind of
yeah, a little bit. I very little talk to Mendenhall staff. Coach Kafusi was the one that recruited. I think he was in charge of the California area at the time. So he had talked to us and recruited the California kids from there, and then I really didn't talk to them much. And then Kalani came whenever he did in 2016, and that's how I ended up at BYU.
So coming out of Orange County, so you and your brother played in Orange County.
Yeah.
And that's when Sataki scouted y'all out, and he's like, hey, these guys, they got game.
Yeah, well, my brother was scouted from Mendenhall's staff.
Okay.
Mendenhall staff. He played a year with Mendenhall, then he went on a mission, came back. When he came back, I think he did probably one more year with Mendenhall, or he went straight into Kalani. I can't remember the timeline of when Kalani and Mendenhall when all that ended and started.
Gotcha.
So when you were going through that whole process, how did the training or how different was the training intensity from high school all the way up to the NFL? Like, what was your day-to-day from high school compared to when you were in the NFL?
Yeah, I think it's just I think everything just becomes very critiqued in a way. So efficiency is probably the best word to define high school to college, from college to the league. You start to see how fast everybody's moving. So you got to just be more on top of what you're doing out there, and you can't get away with little things that you probably got away with in high school, and then being able to get away with some things in college just still based off of athleticism. Now you're playing against guys that have been in the league for 5 to 8 years, whether that's practice squad, whether that's guys that bounce on teams. They've just been playing at this high level. So you got to be able just to understand and know, okay, well, now my mentality and my thinking of the game got to improve. You get what I'm saying? So you hear a bunch of stories about guys' IQ and all that type of stuff. That's pretty much what it comes down to, is how can I just be the most efficient? How can my mind grow to be able to help me at the next level, pretty much.
Yeah,
So,
and you were on the Bills, right?
yeah.
So who was kind of the hardest worker or the old head in the locker room that got everybody motivated? Who would you say was the hardest worker on the team?
That's tough.
Got to be Diggs, right?
Yeah,
he's your dog.
There's a lot of guys there. I think as a rookie going into a veteran group, a lot of them were dope. I still give Josh Allen he's top 5 in the league, and I think he's freaking amazing at what he does. But I think he's just so down to earth that if the top guy of the franchise can come and talk to you and laugh about whatever it is, and he can connect with you on a more personal level. Just my respect for Josh freaking just through the roof or whatever. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they had guys like Von Miller and Diggs and Gabe and Tavon Austin was there that had been in the league for 12 years. You get what I'm saying? So most of the guys in the offensive room that I kicked it with, all of them were dope, from the O-line to the tight end room to the running back room, because that's pretty much what you see. You have walkthroughs, then you have meetings with all these guys, and meetings carry for about, it feels like forever some days. You get what I'm saying? So, yeah. So all those guys were dope, and for sure, Josh is probably the head of the snake for sure.
Who had the biggest impact on your life, whether that be a coach or a player? Who did you walk away gaining the most knowledge from?
I think the closest I'm closest to is my brother for sure. So me and my brother were always tight growing up, and like I said, we always wanted to play college at the next level after we played in high school for a year. And just knew it would be a dope moment for us to just have. Now we're in high school, now we're in college together. And you just have those moments of being able to run out of the tunnel with your brother, being able to celebrate. So my first catch as a receiver at BYU was actually a touchdown. And having that moment with my brother, he wasn't suited up that day, but we were able just to celebrate on the same field that we had just talked about and watching as little kids growing up. So you just always have that thought of, we'll celebrate one time. He'll get a tackle or whatever, and I'll be there on the sideline cheering him and that type of deal. So vice versa. And so first 2 years there, amazing. Trying to still understand because this whole receiver thing is new to me. I didn't really play it in high school. So I felt like I was still playing catch up my first 2 years. Into my third year, I felt like, okay, I was starting to get the hang of it. Going through an adjustment period of trying to just grow the hell up. And then in 2019, actually, I got a DUI. So I got a DUI, got kicked out and suspended from school for a semester. And that's where I was just able just to see how, like, I knew me and my brother were close, but really from there, that's where it grew. So that's where I really knew that, okay, whatever it is that I go through, he kind of can stick up for me. He'll hold it down 10 toes type of deal. So it was dope just to be able to go through that. Although I didn't like what it was, you get what I'm saying, and I put myself in that own predicament or whatever. But he was able just to withstand whatever it was, backlash, whatever it was that I was getting. He just kept me motivated and just told me just to continue just to work and don't worry, it'll all go over and be done and away with. And ultimately at the end of it, then I was able to play 2 more years and ultimately got out and finished playing last summer. So that's why I feel like, that's why we're super tight, and that's why,
So being able to make it to the NFL, how much did that mean to you to be able to live out a dream that millions of kids have every year and that 99% of people will never get to experience?
Yeah, I think it's dope. It's crazy just to you see it on Madden, you see it guys, on YouTube playing Madden, you get what I'm saying? And you just see it on every Sunday, and now people are betting on it and stuff, and you're just like, damn, like some of those players I seen in person or some of those stadiums I was able to go to, not just, I'd never been to an NFL stadium.
He's experiencing it on a different level.
Yeah.
Something I'll never be able to experience. So it's like,
so that's the crazy part. Like, you see this all growing up as a kid, and you have Super Bowl Sunday, and again, like I'd never been to an NFL stadium. Now you step in a foot, and you're practicing regularly, and you see guys that you freaking idolized, and now it's all right in front of you. You get what I'm saying? And I know there's like a 1% chance of making it, but it was definitely a blessing for sure to be able just to, again, like you said, live out a dream that any kid would want, whether that is for 10 seconds, whether that's for 10 minutes or ultimately 10 years. You get what I'm saying? However long it is, it's definitely a badge of honor that, regardless of how long you lasted, is something that you're able to cherish that no one else can take from you. No one else really understands. But it's a dope experience for sure to be able to share with kids that are ultimately pursuing that same dream.
Yeah, and that's got to mean a lot to you too, because growing up, when kids say like I want to be a doctor or a lawyer, like that's still a hard thing to do, but it's a lot less achievable than what you were able to do. So being able to live that dream, and when you grow up and you tell your teacher I want to be in the NFL, like that's a pretty ambitious ass dream, like to say that. And most of them are kind of just like, oh, you can do anything you put your mind to, but then they go home and they're like, that fucker's not making that. Right, so sure. but to be able
That's what
to
my teacher said to me, bro. I always told her, if you're watching this, I told you I'd make it to the league, but be somebody else.
No, like that's gotta mean so much to you, especially with such an ambitious dream, to be able to check that off your list, because that's a lot of thing when people look back on their life when they're older that they're not going to be able to say they did. Most people anyways, to be able to accomplish a dream that you had when you were 5 or 6, because when you're that age, like you have, there's no limit on your dreams. You think of the most wild shit, but to have something like that come true, man, that's just gotta like mean so much to you to be able to make it that far.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate it.
So I'm curious, going back to a little bit more about like your brother, your transition from high school. Everyone's had that moment. I don't think I've ever met an athlete that's like a welcome to the league moment.
Yeah.
What was the welcome to the league moment for you going from high school to college, and then same thing, college to NFL?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it's just the first game, like being able to suit up and know that coach had talked about you're trying to get into the rotation and be like, oh shit, like I really can play my first year. Coming off, in a sense, for me, off the mission or whatever, or for guys coming out of high school, like, damn, I really can play this first game. And then being able to run out the tunnel, and now you're just standing on the sideline waiting, and you're just looking around like, damn, I really am in college football.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
You made it to NCAA.
Yeah.
He's there, bro.
Yeah. So
doesn't have his name on his back, but he got the numbers.
So that was probably my welcome to college football, was just that first game or whatever. And then it's pretty much, then I think the second game after that, we went to New Orleans and played LSU, and they had, I can't remember who they had, but they had a bunch of guys over there that were going to the league, and now seeing them in the league, that type of deal. So those first kind of 2 games were kind of eye-opening to me, and kind of my welcome to the college football moment. And then my freaking welcome to the league moment was the first day of it was kind of a little bit of rookie mini camp, but I think when the vets came and they had OTAs and we had OTAs and stuff, I think when I seen Vaughn and I seen Josh and Diggs ended up coming to one of the walkthroughs out of nowhere. Coach didn't even expect them. He just pulls up or whatever. You just see that, and you're just like, oh, damn. Like, I'm here.
You're like, at that point, you're like,
it's real at that point.
Yeah. Like, you kind of just see it like, oh, yeah, rookie mini camp is a bunch of the college guys that you kind of know who's who and who's coming from what, who's getting drafted, who's not getting drafted, all that type of stuff. But when the vets walk in and like, damn, even like I know that special teams person, like that's the kicker that just don't miss. You get what I'm saying? Like, so on that type of day, kind of that first day when they all appeared and started showing up to the facility, that's where it's like, oh damn, that type of deal. And even Tavon Austin been in 12 years, but every high school kid knows his college highlight reel or highlight YouTube video.
And I was gonna confirm. I was just gonna confirm that with you. I'm like, back when I played football, there's one video that I know everybody, all of my friends that played football watched, and that was Tavon Austin's college highlights.
For sure.
And they're like, I always watched it to hype me up, but like, no, he was actually insane. Like,
it's crazy because we were in a hot tub one time, and he was just sitting there, and then me and my homeboy, he went to Texas A&M. And we're like, damn, should we ask him? Like, we didn't want to just be the weirdos that, like, just – I felt like everybody has to ask him. But we went and asked him, like, hey, bro, like, do you know how big – like, did you ever, like, realize how big your YouTube thing was or whatever? And he had realized, I think, when we had asked him probably, like, 2 years before that or something. But it just always gives him, like, reconfirmation when new guys come in and then, oh, damn, yeah, we used to watch your highlight film before big games or before any game, really, like –
So on that topic with athletes getting paid, so you were in a transition period where you were kind of toward the beginning of it. Athletes weren't necessarily getting paid in college. I did a paper on it in high school, basically arguing in the affirmative, saying, hey, man, athletes need to get paid. In fact, I think there was an NBA player. I think it was Shabazz Napier. He played for the Blazers. He was like, dude, I was starving in college.
Yeah.
He's like, I couldn't afford shit.
Yeah.
Did you ever have experiences like that, or were you pretty well taken care of all throughout college? And
I think you just try to make the most out of it. I think coming up from my upbringing, we didn't have much really. So being able just to understand, okay, if I have this, I got to elongate it. Shit, some goes to rent, some goes to the car payment, some goes to car insurance. Now I have to send some of it to family back at home. Now I have really this much. How can I use this to be able to help me pretty much throughout the rest of the month, really?
yeah,
I think BYU took forever to be able to take care of their athletes, and some schools get paid. They were getting taken care of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, where at BYU, we only had lunch or dinner. So we only had one thing, and then we had to figure out the rest on our own. And they were just always a step behind, I feel like, on stuff like that. And whatever it is they have to go through with Upper Campus or whatever. But it's just stuff like that. I think some of it is they want to make everyone feel like we're the same at BYU sometimes. And sometimes that's why it probably is a little slower transition.
Did you feel that performance-wise at all? Like during games, you're like, man, I'm 2 meals in, man. I needed 3, 4, 5. Like, did you ever feel that during a game? Like,
it was more so during the off season. I think during the season they did a good job of taking care of us and stuff. But during the off season, where we don't get paid, the same amount now. Now a lot of guys are working in the summer.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying, to hopefully just try to make ends meet. And I don't know how the hell we did it. Now that we've been done playing and stuff, and you see where the money flows and the money goes, you're just like, damn, like I really survived off of the $1,500 that we got a month. That type
a month?
Of yeah.
Y'all what? Y'all knocking doors for solar and
Yeah.
pest control? Like,
So did
damn.
had NIL already started when?
My last year in 2021,
your last year.
I think that was when it first dropped that players could get paid.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
do you like the idea of college players getting paid? Because I know it's a little bit controversial, because I think the reason a lot of people like watching college football is because it feels more real, and it feels like they're playing for pride rather than a paycheck.
Yeah.
So do you think it's a good idea to pay college players as much as they are? I don't disagree with paying them a little bit just to get by with things that they need, but paying people like Caleb Williams like $2 million, $3, $4 million in NIL deals. How much do you think that impacts their ego or their play on the field, because they're giving up pride for money at that point?
Yeah, well, one, I think college players should get paid, depending on performance. I think paying a kid before they come and play is sometimes where I don't know how I feel about that. But if they're able just to come in and play and produce for the university, I think they for sure should get paid whatever the amount should be, however that much be. Now how it affects a kid's ego, I think it just depends on the kid and the background and their upbringing of whether they can settle in and lock in on keeping the main thing. Where I get paid $1 million a year like Caleb Williams, but dude, my parents, they hold me down and they keep my foundation strong. I think that's where you see kids' egos, they stay the same, or now they got all this money and nobody can touch me type of deal. So I think that's where it kind of just depends on the kid and all that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, I think guys go out there, they're ultimately they see the league as the next part of life. And I think for the most part, a lot of them are trying to get to that next part of life. But for sure.
And then how important do you think it is to stay grounded? Because for a lot of these players that didn't have much growing up, sports doesn't work like most jobs. Like you don't see a steady paycheck of whatever it might be during the week. But for someone to go from having nothing to a couple $100,000 hitting their bank account at once, how important do you think it is to meet your basic needs first? Because you hear of a lot of these rookies that they're like, oh, I got signed now, so the first thing I'm gonna go do is buy my mom a house and an $85,000 AP. Or like, so how
Damn,
important?
That's one lucky mama, bro. She getting an $85,000.
But no, there's a lot of players that as soon as they hit a lump sum of money hit their account, then they think it's just expendable and sustainable for as long as their ego keeps up. But how important is that? And if you have any advice to people that are coming up that are league prospects, to just meet your basic needs first and start saving, so you don't go buy an $85,000 watch, a $200,000 car, and then all of a sudden you're cut from the team or you get injured.
Yeah, I think it's I think, like I said, to rewind, I think that it's dope that the league and colleges, they started talking about money and what guys should do with their money and how they could make more money even without playing that type of deal. So I think that's where it's grown. I think for kids coming up, I don't even want to talk to kids. I think it all starts with the parents pretty much.
Yeah.
And being able that everything starts in the home. So however the home is ran, that's pretty much how the kid's going to run when he leaves the house. How he's going to move and how he dictates life, how he sees life is the way that he saw it at home. And with parents, I think we got to be more stern and introducing and welcoming things that invite our kids to grow more so, instead of giving this false illusion of my kid is so great, let me cuddle him and all that type of stuff. And then when he gets out into the real world by himself, whether he gets cut or not, now in a sense he has to grow up. So being able to relate that guys to even some of the guys that I'm coaching is that, sometimes this is going to end. While you're in it, you feel like it's going to be forever and you're going to play forever. And all right, I'm going to get my starting spot this next year. And from there, I'm going to play 15 years. But being able to help guys understand that, this could be taken from you, understand and know what you're dealing with. Again, I think it all starts with parents. And I've seen things such as like they talk about AAU basketball, or I feel like even 7-on-7, it's become so watered down with what it could be. Right. I feel like we can do a better job of helping players get more from it instead of guys being just money hungry on hosting a 7-on-7 tournament and making however much they make, $10,000, $50,000 that weekend type of deal. So us being able to teach the sport and have kids walk away with, okay, well, this is going to translate over to my actual football when I put shoulder pads on. So this is going to translate from when I go from high school to college or into the league, that type of deal. So being able just to play a bunch of games and, whoever hosts it makes a shit ton of money, and that's good for them for sure. But if we can somehow be able to help them understand the techniques and the reasons for it, the game itself, I think it will help players grow. That shit, they might end up changing their view on the sport and being able to play way longer than they even thought of. So
So just being in that atmosphere, you don't have to name somebody if you don't want to, but did you personally see somebody that money changed them and turned them into thinking that they were a better person than everybody else? Not, obviously you don't have to name someone, but do you know somebody that you kind of knew before they made it big, and then the second they got a check, they switched up?
Yeah. Not really, to be honest. Like even I'm really good friends with Zach Wilson and Dax Milne and different guys in the league. Even Tyler Algier, I was roommates with.
Oh, no way. Yeah. There's probably some stories there that I can
There's some stories for sure.
Yeah.
He's a dog. Tyler Algier is a dog. Dude.
Yeah. But
is he still on the? He's still on the Falcons.
Yeah. But even seeing those guys like Zach, he was the number 2 overall pick, and we still laugh and joke around about our college days and send text messages like each other's songs, like, oh, I found this song. And
all right, so what's the song? It's got to be T Swift.
No,
bro. Come on. What are you sending Zach, bro? You're sending him something fruity.
We're both big Chris Brown fans.
Okay.
Whenever we hear a Chris Brown song or something on the verge of, oh damn, I could hear Chris Brown singing this, whatever it might be, we send each other songs about that. We'll just call each other randomly and see. Like I was texting him the other day, and he was headed to Lake Powell this past weekend, and he was with his family and stuff. Yeah. So just being able to talk to those guys, nothing has really changed them at all. So I haven't really seen it. There probably are some stories for other guys that have seen it, but so far from my friend group or whatever, all those guys that have made it and are still in it, all of them are still super dope. And
I'm kind of
so real quick, did you ever sing "Under the Influence" with Zach in the locker room?
I think that came out. I'm trying to think when that came out, but
that'd have been like what, 2019. But it wasn't even, that song didn't even pop off till like 2022 because it like TikTok blew it up.
Yeah.
But,
so I'm trying to think. There are some songs that me and Zach, like when he was living in Provo, I would go over to his house or he'd come over to mine and we just bump some Chris Brown and just vibe and just chill, like watch some games and
hold a comb and share it as a mic.
Probably.
Man, that's
shit
crazy.
Like that type. But yeah, so it's just stuff like that. Like we're just big Chris Brown fans, and there are a bunch of other guys that we vibe on the same wavelength. But like I feel like Zach, he kept a close knit of friends, and I was the one that was able to, in a sense, stick, and he was able to want to stick from me out of college. That now we just call each other randomly, and snap each other's songs, whatever it might be that we find or whatever we hear.
So guys in the league don't listen to Taylor Swift at all, despite this whole Kelsey Taylor thing.
No. I don't
Quentin
think
Williams
anybody
has
really
to be
does.
bumping it, dude. He's the type of like.
He'd be that type of dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they might hear it just in probably at the facility, but I don't see a lot of guys just bumping it as we're driving through.
Travis kind of has to now.
Yeah,
I
he
thought
doesn't have
he
a
has
choice.
to, but-
Yeah.
But no,
Even
dude.
then, I feel like he probably don't even listen to it like that. Like,
No,
he
no,
can't
no,
listen
no.
to it like that.
No.
But,
So to kind of put you on the spot real quick, I know you had a game day hype up song. What was it?
mine just depended. Mine depended on mood. So
Did you go the rap route or more of like a rock type?
So mine was, it depended. Like I would wake up from my nap and BYU plays games late as hell, so that always sucked. But
You could just say Lil Pump. I'm like,
nah. So
God,
mine just depended on.
It's Freaky Friday, bro. You can't tell. You can't tell. Lil Dicky.
Nah.
that song actually slaps.
Oh my gosh, man. Friday night game. Oh man, Freaky Friday.
But yeah, mine was like between hip hop, and then it'd go to R&B, then it would go to country. So it's probably those three ordeals where you're just listening to it and just depending on the mood of whatever I'm in. So it could be 5 straight songs of country, and then it's like I get off the bus and it's like, all right, country's dumb. Like, let me just listen to rap music.
Right.
Then you get into the locker room and you're sitting there before the coach speaks and like, oh, I want some R&B. So it kind of just depended on that. Like, then the artists were all kind of the same between, I listened to Gunna, Future, Chris Brown a lot, obviously.
Let's hear some R&B.
Lil
like,
Baby,
like,
all that type of stuff.
Who's
so.
your R&B people? Like I'm thinking like Nelly.
Yeah, you got him.
Akon.
Yeah, so mine were really like probably just Chris Brown and Usher for real. Like those two, probably the top 2 that I ran through. And then obviously you have a bunch of like the new artists now and the old artists now, the female. So you got that mixed in with it, but it kind of just depended on the moment, really, like where I was at, my headspace, all that type
Nah,
of deal. So.
he's a SZA guy. He's a SZA, bro. That
So you
like
can
when
see,
she hops on the mic, Neil's sitting there. Like, oh man, that's
You
my
remember?
queen.
You remember the iPod Shuffle, just the square that had the 4
Yeah.
buttons on it.
Mm-hmm.
The very first song I ever downloaded on that was "Just a Dream" by Nelly.
Yeah.
And back then, you were in the phase of like it. Obviously, it was sick as shit too. You clip it on your belt loop or whatever, and then you just have your headphones in. But I do the whole like you're on a car ride and it's like raining outside and you pretend like you're in a music video, like lean your head against the window, like now I travel back down
Bro,
there.
I just want to get one clip of you and Zach on a bus. Do you have anything like that?
I got some snap memories of us just on his couch. We're just like singing and laughing, just us two by ourselves, like just singing whatever song at the time we were singing. It was probably some Chris Brown stuff that he's trying to sing and dance to. And once we got speakers into the locker room, whenever he got on the aux and Chris Brown came on, you knew it was him. So on that type of deal.
Like
so,
no questions.
Yeah,
Everyone's
no questions
playing
asked.
it.
Everybody knew that it was probably him. The big Chris Brown fans is like me, Zach. I think Dax is a big one. And then one of our buddies, Braden Cosper. Like us 4 were probably like the biggest Chris Brown fans on the team. So
when Zach came over to your house, did you ever have to tell your mom to go upstairs?
nah.
Hey, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
No. My parents don't even live in state. I'm from California, so yeah.
You never caught him on Tinder, like setting the age range to the 40s?
Holy shit, dog. You're wild for
I'm
that.
just
No,
messing.
yeah.
That was a big meme for a long time, dude.
Yeah.
All love, Zach. It's all love.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
like, they're like, man, I'd hang out with Zach, but I'd have to tell my mom to leave.
That's crazy. But nah, so you told us you were roommates with Tyler Algier. You guys had some crazy shit you got into.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so
sure.
give us a rundown of what that looked like as a roommate.
Don't do it. I'm sure you got a lot that's NSFW, but
Yeah.
keep it PG-13
Yeah,
for
for sure.
for YouTube's sake.
A lot of it was just like shit. My roommates kind of introduced me to Call of Duty. Like I really didn't play my Xbox. I got a Xbox and I had it for probably 2-3 years and never touched it. It just sat in my room, set up, but never pressed the button for it to turn on. And then I think 2020 when COVID came popping or whatever, it was just like
That was a different story.
yeah, that's where it's just like let me find something else to do to connect with guys, connect with we had to stay apart, but how can I still feel part of the team and connect with even my own roommates? And they were all playing Call of Duty, and that's where it kind of just started my love for video games and Call of Duty and stuff. And
Do you still play to this day?
Yeah. So
what kind of like Warzone or like?
Yeah, Resurgence for sure. We all just hop on whenever we can, and
okay,
that's kind of our way of connecting and stuff.
Gotta do a podcast part 2 live on Twitch.
Yeah.
This guy does Twitch. So he's pretty decent.
Yeah,
pretty decent.
So it's a little different now with Tyler being 2 hours ahead. That like, all right, well it's 8 o'clock there, and he's ready to play, and we're just finishing work or I'm finishing coaching, whatever it might be, and or I'm just about to go into my last session. By the time I get home and shower, eat, I'm 8 o'clock, and now he's 10. He has to sleep, so we connect when we can connect. But whenever he has his off time, we'll for sure be playing, and usually on the weekends when he's off, we'll hop on the game and play for a minimum of 2 hours for sure.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Got to.
Absolutely.
It goes deep on Call of Duty.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the
for sure.
A lot of the party chats can't be saved, but
yeah, for sure.
It's a different emotion playing Call of Duty, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and because I stream, I do like Warzone, Resurgence, stuff like that, and it's different.
Yeah.
Like my vocabulary's different.
Oh yeah, everybody.
Especially when you get shit on by like a 9-year-old that plays it for.
Dude, he's dropping
10 hours a
like
day.
every other sentence, bro.
Yeah,
It's crazy, you know.
What did you say?
It just
It just makes me uncomfortable.
just a big generation. So
I'm just
for
playing,
sure,
bro.
For sure.
But no, and it's like it's crazy too, because they have like the whole proximity chat.
Mm-hmm.
It always blows my mind when you see like a younger kid playing that game when you have the proximity chat on and you hear like these brutal, vulgar ass words coming out of someone's mouth that hasn't even hit puberty yet. Like you're just walking around a corner and get hit with a shotgun, and some 9-year-old kid's like, "Get shit on!" and you're like, "Bro, what?"
For sure.
But not to backtrack a little bit. So memories in college. Obviously, you had that catch. We talked a little bit about that. Not gonna lie, I watched a little bit of your highlights with Arizona. You were looking nice out
popped
there.
off that game. 20. How it was like?
You went off.
Yeah.
It was like 20 catches, 160, 2 touchdowns.
Something
It was
like
like
that.
9, like 120, 130.
Yeah.
2 tubs.
Okay.
So,
But we stalked you a little bit.
Just
I'm
a
not
little
trying to
bit.
be weird about it.
We
but
like to know our.
me and Parker
personality.
were on a call and pulled up your
for
highlights,
sure.
and he's like, "Oh, he's like that."
Yeah, I was like, he's like that, bro. So, but walk us through like some of the games. I mean, we talked a little bit about Utah, but maybe walk us through like the Utah game and the Arizona game.
yeah, so that they were back to back pretty much. So the first game was Arizona, the second game was Utah. Going into that season, I had heard a little bit of buzz that the NFL could be something that was for me and in my future. So into so after 2020, I got some, and I was deciding on whether to leave or to come back and all that type of stuff, and I ended up coming back or whatever. So that whole off season, being able to figure out, okay, if I'm going to make this, let's make sure that everything's fine-tuned and ready to go come fall camp. Like, spring practice was whatever. Like, you just go through spring practice. I don't think anyone likes spring practice, and no one really likes training camp when you're in the league.
So not a game. We talk about practice.
Yeah, we're talking about practice. But going into fall camp, I knew that I had to be ready. So whether that was weight-wise, hands-wise, grip-wise, whatever it was, so I was just fine-tuning the little things that I felt that I needed to be able to propel myself to the next level. So that Arizona game came around, and I just felt the most locked in I ever felt. It was crazy because it kind of sucked because I was going to the stadium. We're in Vegas, and I think we're the second game ever played in Vegas. It was BYU versus Arizona.
Like at the new Allegiant
At
Stadium?
the new Allegiant Stadium.
Okay, wow.
So that even brought more hype, and we knew it was sold out. And I was like, all right, this is where it starts or whatever. Going onto the bus, I put my headphones on. I had the Beats headphones, and they freaking break. So now I'm like
No
a
more Chris
little
Breezy.
bit. I'm a little bit.
Bye,
like,
Breezy.
Yeah.
You're like,
But
damn, I can't listen to Freaky Friday. I was halfway through the song. It was about to get his turn.
But I'm a little like discombobulated at the time. Like I'm sitting on the bus. It's only like a 5-minute ride, but I'm like, damn, how the hell do I still lock in or whatever? And I just put some tape around it and just kind of let it dangle off my ear.
Nah, you
pretty
taped
much.
it?
Yeah, so I taped it and let it dangle off my ear where I can kind of hear it, but it's not attached to my ear. And that's where I just let the rap take over. So
Yeah.
I played rap that time and just let it all take over. And going to the game, felt super comfortable about who we're going up against. But they were coming off a losing season, and we didn't know much about their defensive scheme because they got a whole new staff that first year. So we didn't know much about what they were going to give us. But pretty much what I accumulated through the years of playing football, especially at BYU, was the hardest part of football is man-to-man. So if it ever came down to it, I was going to be ready for man-to-man. And they tried to throw some of it at us, and the different coverages from watching film. Now film is a whole new breakdown of being able to understand open field, high red zone, or low red zone to goal line, and being able to stand different coverages of when they play it 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 6, and then now it's 2nd and goal from the 5 or 2nd and goal from the 2, how far they play apart. All that type of stuff that freaking I love to be able to dissect. I was ready for those moments or whatever. So whenever that presented to me and I was able to line up and understand what I'm going up against, that kind of just took over, and I was able just to find myself open a lot of the game. And when Gunner went down, that I think it was like the 2nd drive or 3rd drive of the game, it kind of just was me to be able to produce. The Nakua brothers, they didn't end up playing. They suited, but they didn't play. So then I had it was Chris Jackson and Keanu. They call him Kibo or whatever. We call him Kibo, but it was those 2 guys' kind of first moments in a big game, or being able to play a lot of moments, or play a lot of a game, really.
So you had some first-timers in there.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I knew that a lot of even coach was like, all right, we're going to, it's obviously going to come down to you.
Yeah.
And stuff. And I knew it was, and I was totally okay with it because I knew what I can do. And at the end of the day, yeah. So at the end of the day, the ball just presented itself to me. And I mean, we never really had that from 2020, where it was kind of mixed up. Dax got a lot of the catches and the yards or whatever, but a lot of it was spread through all of us. So going into the 2021, I felt like that was the only time I felt like all right, Neil, go ahead and just make plays. And I felt like I could do that. End up spraining my ankle kind of the last second to last drive of the game. So now I'm battling a sprained ankle going into the Utah game. Pretty much dealt it the rest of the year. But going to Utah game, after the Arizona game, ankle just swollen, fat, didn't practice all week. Tried to get it drained and get it massaged and all that type of stuff from the poly people. We believe in just massaging the shit out of getting the bruises out, pretty much, all that purple stuff out of your foot, and it works,
so y'all would
but
just
it hurts.
Sit there?
Yeah,
y'all just need it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So need a bruise.
It hurts
Gosh,
for sure, but by the end of it, I was able to play at 80% or whatever it was.
Wow.
And there was no way I was missing that game, because I felt like, okay, they have some guys coming back, but I think we can beat them for sure.
Well,
so,
especially when you're coming off a hot streak at AZ, bro. You're like, man,
Yeah.
I'm feeling it. Like, I'm going into Utah and I'm making a statement.
yeah. So
That's crazy.
we ended up playing Utah, and again, like I said, that was that. And I think the next week, Arizona State. Those are probably the 2 loudest times I ever heard BYU. Ever since I had played in that stadium, that was probably the loudest I had ever been. And being able to go up against Utah, and we go up really quick, and they end up making a little comeback, and then we end up taking over just with the run game, because Jaron was a little banged, and we knew our O-line was dominating. And Coach Whittingham said that I think that was the first time he felt like we dominated in the trenches, and that's where really most of the games are won. But our O-line and D-line did a great job that game of being able to withhold and withstand whatever counters they were coming back with, and we made the plays that we needed to make to be able to produce at the end, and then trying to get out of that shit show of everybody coming onto the field, which I love for the fans and stuff. But as a player, especially for me, I'm going to speak for me, it was just like, all right, let me get the hell out of here. Like, the game didn't start till 8:15. Now the game ends, it's almost 11:30. We have to clear the field, so navigate through everybody, go listen to the head coach. Then we're trying to shower and go home. By the time we left, the shit was probably like 1, 2 o'clock. Like,
Was that the game where everyone rushed it like 3 or 4 times? They kept calling people back. Was it that game? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. I don't think it was.
Okay,
I don't think it was.
Because there was a game BYU played where against Utah where fans will rush the field and they're like, "Hey, man, the game's not over yet. There's like seconds left. We got to call everybody back."
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
happened
I don't know. I don't
times,
know if it was that one, but yeah. Those are the 2 dope games for sure.
So I know fans can shout some nasty things while you're playing, like in away games, but did it elevate it playing at a religious university, or was there a specific game where the away fans were just absolutely brutal? And do you think being at a religious college like makes them even worse, like yelling, like shouting and yelling stuff from the sidelines?
I don't know. One, BYU wasn't like, my mom knew who BYU was. We grew up big USC fans, so mine and my brother's goal was to go to USC. Ultimately, like, we had thought BYU was Yale. Even Tyler thought he got offered a walk-on spot to Yale.
They just you just saw the big Y and you're like, Yale.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. So we didn't know much about BYU up until as we got older or whatever, but we didn't know that. And then coming to a religious institution, I think being from out of state and us dealing with that in high school, because we went to an all-guy Catholic school in California, and the league that we're in is considered to most the best like high school league in California. So we dealt with stadiums of 20,000 or 30,000 in California. So we knew already kind of the vulgar stuff that was happening. So it wasn't new to us. So it was different to us now going to an institution where that isn't really allowed, or alcohol isn't allowed during the game, where now guys are a little more sober and just, okay, they're cheering, but are they really cheering, and try to understand that type of aspect and stuff. So going to away stadiums, I loved playing away stadiums. I loved when people would talk shit. It just brought more, I felt like, more out of me to it. And I think Coastal Carolina in 2020 was a perfect time because there was no games happening, and we scheduled the game the week of, and we're like, all right, screw it, we're going to South Carolina. And those guys, everything was free flowing and free go, and I don't think they had a mandate on anything or whatever, so we're able just to go and feel like we're playing college football again. And yeah, I think those moments were dope for sure.
Yeah, and then kind of to revisit the first portion, but what was your favorite sideline or off the field moment?
Yeah, I think it's probably, to revisit, I think it's the true blue stuff, or the true blue hero is what they call it at BYU. Those moments on a Thursday is what kind of, like I said, resets the week for me, where whatever I might be dealing with off the field, on the field, in the classroom, I just bombed 4 finals or 4 exams or whatever at BYU, because BYU tests all the time. I just bombed all those. It just reset myself for, life ain't too bad outside of, my regular life, my regular schedule or whatever. Knowing that, people are dealing with way worse things than I could ever even imagine or whatever. That when I got put into those situations of, my sister, she had cancer and she ultimately beat it. Now you kind of look at those moments of life where you used to like take it for granted. You freaking end up loving it and cherishing now those moments. And I feel like I missed a lot of those moments because I was pursuing something, and I was pursuing the league, and I was pursuing this football dream that I had, that I wanted to make come true, that now I'm trying to revisit and come back and spend more time with family and try to, rekindle some of those moments, like going jet skiing. My family used to go to the lake or whatever, and I just said, nah, I'm gonna go work out instead. I'm gonna sleep and do all that type of stuff because I was chasing something. Now it's gotten to a point where, like, on Monday for Memorial Day, we went out jet skiing, and I freaking was out there for like an hour and a half by myself, like,
Right.
And they were wondering where I was or whatever. But just different moments like that, the true blue started it all, and being able to see life outside of football, outside of my regular life, and maturing and being able to just grow as a person helped me understand that as well. So it's been dope to be able to understand and know, in a sense, who I am for real.
Yeah, and then to fast forward to now, you're out of the league now, but what is your life like now, just to fill people in that are watching, and what do you strive for now? What do you do outside of being able to live out your dream?
Yeah.
And when you had to kind of figure out, okay, this is the next part of my life, I need another plan. So what do you want to work towards now, and what are you currently doing?
Yeah. Right now, right when I finished playing last summer, I got offered a job to come down to Snow College, and I had gotten back on a Friday. I was in transition of moving from one house to another house with some buddies, and I reported on a Sunday. So I had Friday, Saturday to kind of regroup, and then I moved to Snow on Sunday, and pretty much had my own receiver room. So I'd been down there, and then within that, I've been able to also do my individual coaching of just coaching receivers. So on the side, I coach receivers. Like during this break time, we're off for the summer from snow, and I do individual coaching of just coaching receivers and stuff. And that's kind of where I just have grown to find where passion is really. Like after doing the internships that I did and didn't really find pleasure in it or something that I wanted to do long term, after coaching one season and doing my individual coaching here and there while I was home last year, that's where I was like, all right, cool. Like this could be something for real that I want to do. Like, and I feel like because of what I went through of offered to walk on, to put on scholarship, to it taken all away from me, and now I'm on Vasa TVs talking about my DUI, to coming back and making it to the league, and now where I'm at now, I feel like I can relate to a bunch of guys and what they're dealing with. So now they can't come at me like, okay, you don't understand it. I can give different perspectives of, oh shit, like, okay, maybe life isn't something where football is a part of it. I can go and, like an example was during one of my exit interviews last year, there was one of the slot receivers that I thought was going to be a big part of our offense this upcoming season. But throughout it, I talked to my guys about understanding and finding who they are and what they love to do. And if football isn't it, cool. If you feel like you've ran out of that love for it, good. Thank you. Like, thank you for all you've done. Thank you for teaching me. Now go find and chase the same way you chase football, chase it in whatever aspect of life you want to do too. So being able to, he ended up, after I was giving him critiques on what he needs to work on, he was like, hey, coach, I think I'm done with football. And I was like, oh, shit, for real? Why didn't you just save me all this time of me just speaking? I was like, dope, bro. And he's like, yeah, I just want to get into the business world and start life. I was like, bro, good for you. Like, I don't hold anything against anybody, and whatever kids want to pursue and do, like, I just fully support them and whatever they want to do. If they're going to be with me and they're going to pursue this football thing, we're going to pursue it 100%. We're going to get our degree, and then we're going to go out and figure out what else is out there in life for us to do.
So going back to that passion for the game, when you were done with the NFL, you say a lot of people stop playing because they lose a passion for it.
Mm-hmm.
And now transitioning into coaching, would you say that any passion was lost, or would you say that you almost have more now because you got to live your dream and now you get to teach people to go live theirs?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think coaching is the closest thing to playing an actual game where you have okay, we're prepping as coaches this game plan. All right, now let's go execute the plan that we set forth. As a player, you're doing that. You're running routes, all that type of stuff. Okay, if I go over the Mike backer and it's cover 2 or if it's cover 4, how do I want to be able to sit and find windows, all that type of stuff. So I think that's the closest thing. But then again, I've just found passion in being able to share what I know and what I've seen and what I've especially gone through, that a lot of it was kind of, I've never even shared a lot of it to a lot of people, but now it's just open and I've been able to share it with y'all. But now it's just being able to share and now see kids go what they go through. Now it's understanding how can I push them the most. So now I've shared my own experiences. Some kid from Philly might not interact and be pushed and motivated the same way as a kid that I recruited from Utah or a kid from Arizona. They all grew up, different backgrounds, and I think that's where some of the coaching guys were, even in the state. I think they have their own perspective, but I think they've coached so long, they've done their dues, that they are able to stay in the coaching business probably a little longer than they should be, if I'm being honest. I think some of them are just there for a check, and they're not there to help kids grow.
Right.
And whatever that growth might be, whether that might be mentally, physically, or even spiritually, if some of them are spiritual, I think that's the main aspect. If we can be able to touch, as coaches, all 3 aspects of a kid's life, and we left them better than we found them before, I try to still keep in contact with even guys that left. They'll hit me back and be like, hey, coach, like, I know I got my receiver coach, but what do you see from this play? And they'll post their own highlights, and I'll comment on it, whatever I might see. Like, damn, you out of breath already? Or like just simple stuff like that. Be able to still interact, that they feel that if they can't go to their parents, they know that they can come to me. And I try to keep open communication with my guys at Snow and even with my guys that I train, and try to be able to push all those different kinds of ordeals. But,
So switching between a player and being suited up to a coach on the sidelines, would you say you still feel the same amount of excitement going into games that you did when you were a player, even though now you're on the back end of things, like making a plan for it and doing stuff like that? But would you say you can still reach that same amount of excitement and kind of energy switching from being suited up to headset on?
it would probably be like 90%. The other 10%, the difference is that you can control kind of the game as a player where, shit, coach, I'm cooking this dude. Let me just call the play for me. I'm going to get open. I'm going to catch it, and I'm going to go score on that type of deal. Whereas a coach, you got to be able to hope that you taught them everything that you could and prep them for whatever aspect they're going to deal with and whatever covers they're going to face, that they have to go make the play. So that's where the other 10% where I feel like, okay, as a player, like, I for sure would have caught that. Okay, now how can I regroup and be able to help them make that next play? Because although we won this game, we barely won. I need them to make that next play on a 3rd and 6 for a first down to be able to win out or use the rest of the clock, that type of deal. So I think that's the difference between coaching, is that you can't control a lot of the outcome. Although you can, but you really can't. We just hope that we prepped ourselves, prepped our players the best we can, and coached them the best we can throughout the game to hopefully win the game.
So just in hearing all this, one thing I'm noticing and drawing a parallel to, the one reason why I love sports is because exactly what you said, right? As a coach, I'm hoping, man, I put my kids out there, put my boys out there, hoping that they make the right plays. Mm-hmm. The crazy thing about it, as I'm sitting here, Neil, is what you've been saying this whole time. You also said, I want to make an impact on kids' lives. Mm-hmm. I'm teaching them everything they know about life, and I'm hoping they make the right plays, they make the right decisions. I think it's really cool that in sports, especially football being one of them, I mean, we can draw those parallels, and it's like, as a parent, as a coach, I'm going to teach you how to be the best version of you. Mm-hmm. And then, I'm expecting you to perform. And then on the football field, same thing. Hey, as a coach, I'm going to teach you everything I know and expect you to perform. And so I think it's really cool what you're doing as far as teaching and making these kids adapt to life, especially. And I think that's what's going to set you apart as a coach. Yeah. And, dude, I can't wait to see you coach at a higher level.
Appreciate it.
Like,
Appreciate
for
it.
real.
And speaking on that a little bit, I know you like where you're at, but if you were given an opportunity to be a wide receiver coach in the NFL, would you revisit that life again? Because obviously you have to travel all over the nation all the time, 24/7. So is that something that you would want to pursue, or is that kind of something that you're going to leave as a past life? But if you were given an opportunity to do that, would you go for it?
I don't know, because now those players are making more than you as a coach. You get what I'm saying? Even probably in college, there might be a receiver or two making just as much as you or more. I don't know. Right now, the goal is to hopefully get to a P5 school and be able to coach the receiver position only, because I feel like I know what I can coach and I know how I can relate to guys and be able to get the most out of them on that aspect. But if it presented itself and the money was right and all that type of stuff, like you can't deny it.
Right.
But I don't know. I think I would just leave it unanswered for right now, because the goal, I think, for right now is just see where this individual coaching goes, and then ultimately let's get to just a bigger college than Snow, and see how I can impact just more guys in the younger generation.
No, I love it. And so with the coaching stuff being said, where can people find you? Let's say I got a kid, I want to set him up for receiver school, set him up for success. Where am I sending him? Yeah,
you can find me on Instagram. It's Neil Pau'u. You can just NeilPauu. Either there, or you can just I'm pretty sure on there it has my name and my email and all that type of stuff there. So
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and for anyone else watching, you can also DM us at our Instagram handle at the Humor Hustle. If you want to get in touch with Neil, we'd be more than happy to send you his direction. Let's get your kids right. Let's get their minds right. Let's make sure they're also good boys at the end of the day, right? I think that's one thing that we're touching on here.
And then with coaching, just real quick, how do you think it prepares you? Or let me ask you this first: Do you currently have a girlfriend or wife? Or
no, I don't. I'm single.
Are you eventually wanting to? Was that you serious?
No, I for sure am single.
Okay.
No, he's single. I just was giving him a sign.
Okay,
so the audience knows. Hey, my man's up. So.
But yeah, man, wide receiver. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. No, but do you eventually want to get to that point of having like a wife and like children?
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
And then so my question is, do you think coaching would prepare you for being able to raise your kids, and how would that change your life even more? Because I think one of the proudest moments you could have is if you were coaching one of your kids' little league teams, or whether he got up to a higher level. But do you think what you're doing now is actively preparing you and getting you a little bit more excited to maybe be able to have that opportunity in the future?
Yeah, I think there's different lessons that are taught throughout coaching, throughout playing one, and then throughout coaching, being able to relate to the guys. I think patience is probably the biggest one. It'll be a little different with obviously the girl that hopefully I end up finding or whatever. And
hey, she's out there. She watching. She watching right now. One day
promo.
she'll look back.
Yeah,
Promo.
Hopefully whoever that is or whatever, that hopefully I developed enough patience or whatever. But I feel like on a different level, that will be a different level of patience that I'm going to have to learn and understand. Just like I did with playing, there's patience in being able to wait your turn and, okay, now it's my turn, let me go take this. As a coach, being able to be patient with different personalities and all that type of stuff, to where now a family situation, now we had to cater for a kid and she moves a different way. I've dealt with guys my whole life. Now I have to deal with the girl aspect of things and how they move and that type of deal. So it'll be a different learning curve for sure, but I think there are lessons for sure that I can take from it. I think maturing and kind of my own situations of past ordeals that I was able to learn from, that put me into the mode now where I feel like I am ready for that next step of life, where I thought I was, but I was just enjoying the football life and what it brought me. But now I'm at a point where it's just like, all right, cool. And that point kind of started way like a year or 2 years ago, but now I'm at a point where it's like, all right, cool. Like, I think I'm ready for that next part of life and the next phase of life for sure.
And I know coaching your kids at a higher level is a little bit controversial, because there's always, at least when I played football, the coach's son was always the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
The coach's son was always the running back.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think it's important to treat your own kid as a player rather than your son? Because there's a lot of people that I know that stopped playing because their dad was the coach, and they put the whole weight of the entire team on them, and it drove them to hate the sport because they were being treated as a son, not as a player. Yeah,
I think you're going to have to find that balance. I work at a Stroshine here in American Fork. He does weight training and speed training, all that type of stuff. But we always just conversate about guys that were teaching his own kids and how he's able to do it. And so far, what it seems like, he got a good balance of being able to push and pull away from being a coach and then also being a dad. And I feel like once I get into that thing, so I love what LeVar Ball did with his 3 boys, and then what Deion's doing with his 2 boys at Colorado. He's just standing up for his kids, but I think his kids also understand that they can come to him for whatever. So in the media aspect and however guys want to portray it and come up with short clips of who he is, I think at the end of the day, his kids definitely know who their dad is and what he stands for. And hopefully one day with my own kids, and hopefully I have, boys or whatever, that I can do the same. Whether for my boys or my girls, that they know that I'm going to push you, but also you can come to me with whatever. Because dad dealt with some shit too. And he might have put himself in that own situation, but he ultimately came out of it. And whatever feelings and things that you might be feeling and going through, that shit, I feel like I dealt with it and seen it. So they can come to me for sure.
Yeah. And then just kind of to wind down a little bit, is there anything that you want to like shout out or speak about with your coaching, whether that be business or personal, that you want to let people know about, that, or something that you're up to or doing that you want to get a little more visibility with?
Yeah, no, I think if parents are looking for their kids to propel their game to the next level, I think I'm not going to lie, going to camps and going to 7-on-7 doesn't help the kid progress. I think it kind of hinders, because coaches allow the top guys, or if they're not the top guy, to just consistently do what they're doing wrong. So I think that kind of hinders it. So if they are looking for, in a sense, a receiver coach that wants to help them grow and really grow their game, individual coaching, I think, is where it's at. And I feel like with the short amount of kids that I do have and the shorter span that I've had with certain kids and help them grow, if they want to just contact me, and they can contact the parents and see what I've done for their kid and their confidence level and ultimately the game-wise and how they've been able to grow and understand the game, I think that's what's needed for this next generation is hopefully. So far, we're looking for clips and head tops and cool celebrations, all that type of stuff. How can I best get the most out of my kid to, okay, if Division II's the biggest school that they'll go to, that they can go Division II, enjoy their 4 years there, and then ultimately be done and join the workforce. Or they can go D2 and ultimately go to a P5 school and then ultimately make it to the league, whatever that might be. I just want to be able to just to help in whatever way I can. And I would love to just start it. And shit, I coach pretty much from here to Salt Lake and all that type of deal. And sometimes I'm down at Snow College and have guys go there. So pretty much from Ephraim to Salt Lake, I pretty much coach up and down.
And then before we wrap it up, I want to ask a question that we asked in our first episode because I like to see the different responses between athletes. Like he was a gym influencer, but any kind of like buddy that was involved with the fitness world. So how important do you think it is, especially since you made it to the highest level that you could make it to have discipline as opposed to motivation? Because motivation is temporary. There's a lot of people that have to watch a video or they have to listen to David Goggins to get motivated, but how important do you think it is to be disciplined rather than motivated to make it to the absolute highest level of sports, which you were able to accomplish?
I think it's super big. I think, like you said, motivation is temporary, but I think it's needed in spurts that you don't have the discipline. I think they go hand in hand. Where discipline, there's times where you just don't have it that day for whatever reason, and you're trying to get it out, whether through music's not hitting. Talking to a girl at the time, and she's really not hitting. Like it's just like talking to her. Usually, it comes with peace and like power and strength and all that type of stuff. But for whatever reason, but I think discipline is huge. But what ties into discipline, I think, is just understanding your purpose and your why, really, what it ultimately comes down to, why I wake up. I wake up because I got to. Like, I got no other choice but to wake up. I got to be able to make money for me to pay rent the next month. Or now I have a family, whatever it is, I got to wake up for hopefully try to put my family in the best situation that I'd never had. I can put them in the best position that they've ever had, that my kids growing up, they won't have to deal with some of the things that I dealt with or go through some of the things that I went through. So whatever it is, it's just being able to understand your why. Varies from person to person, background to background, all that type of stuff. Where they grew up and all that type of stuff. Some of it is different, but I think at the end of the day, if we can, like a kid growing up in Draper, where they might not have to deal with stuff that a kid from Salt Lake or West Valley and those type of areas, that's just Utah itself. Now there's way worse counties, way worse cities, way richer cities, all that type of stuff around the country. If they're able just to understand their why, now they'll be able to find discipline. But again, I think it all starts, like I said way back in the beginning, it all starts with the parents. If the parents can play a big part in helping their kids grow, it all starts in the home. That whatever they're able to be taught, they'll go out forth into the workforce and into the world, and hopefully relay that to the world as well. So
yeah, and then before we sign off, there's 2 questions that we like to ask to every guest. So Parker, if you want to sign us off.
For sure. So I guess the biggest thing is, if there's one message that you could relay just out there to the younger generation, what would that message be? And then to wrap it up, who's your hero?
Yeah, my one message probably to the younger generation is just to get out, like get out of the house and go do things outside. Like it's crazy seeing my generation from having a hoop on the street and being able to play basketball on a blacktop. And now kids feel like they have to go to a gym and have a trainer. Some of the things that you're able just to be taught is just from being outside on the grass and being able to play football, tackle football. You get what I'm saying? You used to wrestle with your cousins downstairs, that type of stuff. Being able just to get off the games and off the social media and all that type of stuff where life isn't real, and be able to, just see life for what it is and be able to understand that, we got to be able to lock in and be ready for whatever the next day holds for us. I think that would be the biggest thing. Just go out inside, breathe some fresh air, all that type of stuff there.
Touch some grass.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the biggest comeback in Call of Duty. Touch grass, bro. But yeah, and then just wrap it up quick with who your hero was now or just growing up.
Yeah, my hero, I don't know. That one's tough. I think it it for sure, it probably for sure comes down to my brother. I know I said some long ordeal about him earlier, but it definitely comes back to him, being able just to always go back to him. He helped me mature where I feel like the oldest is always the most mature, and then the youngest, we just like slowly become less mature for whatever reason. And with me, I felt like things came more natural to me than it did to him, and he had to work for what he got. But he definitely taught me a lot of things. And again, like I said, the DUI portion in 2019, when I was going through that, and the first time I go to Vasa, that shit's on the TV screen, I think I called him, and I just said, shit, bro, like, what the hell do I do with this? And I just said, all right, no more Vasa for a week, and let me just chill out, and hopefully it kind of just dies down. But the following week I went, it was up again, just talking about it or whatever. And now it's on my Twitter, and this is where social media is starting to become a big thing or whatever, and all that type of stuff. And he helped me kind of, stay down and just continue just to work, and all of this will bypass. And where he's at now, and being able to still push me, more in other ways in my immature parts of life, like spirituality and all that type of stuff, like help me understand that and try to rekindle some of those moments that I miss with my own sisters just because I was pursuing. He's definitely helped that. So he for sure would probably be my hero for sure. And I thank him for pretty much everything that he's done for me up to this point. So.
Yeah. No, that was awesome. And we enjoyed having you on here. Thanks for
appreciate it.
coming and sharing your story. I'm sure some of the stuff you shared, a lot of people didn't know about you or hadn't heard. Sure. And I know there's some people that had you as an idol or watched you throughout college, and to be able to see you kind of break it all down and share your story, I'm sure will make a lot of people happy. And especially if there's some aspiring athletes out there, hopefully, he taught you how to stay grounded and never forget never forget where you came from. And yeah, man, we really enjoyed having you on here, and feel free to come back whenever you want.
Sure. So. For sure, appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, man.
Yeah, 10 out of 10, let's rate. I been going big on the bigs out of state. Do research, check out the back of my plates. I rep so heavy, attack when I take. Still I'm on that for the long run. That name that you got, say the right one. Don't try me, I rap like a python.